Pops and Jeff, it's so great to meet the two of you
It's
finally.
great to finally meet you too, man.
Oh, thank you.
James.
The
Excited
legendary
to talk with the
James.
both
Right,
of
right.
you. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm not thrilled about the outcome because I thought you both
Yeah.
were such a joy to watch and we were rooting
Thank you.
for the both of you. So
Thank you.
forward to
Appreciate
hearing,
it.
of course, I look forward to hearing a little bit more about your experience in Dubai. But I do like to start my interviews off just kind of going back to the beginning of how the Amazing Race came into your life. What inspired you to apply, and how many times did you audition?
Okay, so I started watching the race back in 2020. You know, COVID
Yep.
was happening and you couldn't travel. It wasn't much that you can get out and do. I just fell in love with the game, man. I started watching it and binging seasons. And then when I saw you guys this season, man, it was like, just it's just certain winners, really including you and Will, man, and
Thank
like
you.
just was super inspiring. We watched you guys have fun with it. We watched you bring your dynamic to this race and utilize that and show what that dynamic does on the race. So it always made me realize that Pops and my dynamic for so many reasons would be perfect for the race. And I knew that I wanted to show that dynamic and show that to others. I wanted to be able to inspire other people that, okay, this seems impossible. Everybody says that this tens of thousands of people apply every year. Maybe we won't even get a call back. But to answer your question, it was the first
One and
time
done.
applying. It was our first time applying, man.
Yeah.
We made a video. I told them a couple years ago we was going to be on the race. I waited and waited to see when they started casting. As soon as they started casting, we made a video, we uploaded it, and a week later we got a call.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Now, Pops, were you like on board 100% from the
Oh
moment Jeff?
man, I was on board because when he told me about it, I had watched it. I'm like, all these different challenges, man. We create that amongst each other. Let's do this. Can you do that? I can do that. And it was just. I knew it was going to be so much love. Us actually not competing against each other, but with others.
Right.
And man, I was looking forward to it. Like some of those challenges, like that's what we do. So
yeah.
so I knew it was going to be. We're going to fit right in, and we're just going to have a ball.
Oh yeah,
You
you
know.
guys are perfect for the race.
Thank you.
There's
Thank
no
you.
Thank you,
questions
sir.
about it.
Thank
Of
you.
course. And
Thank you. Thank
we got
you.
to know a little bit more about y'all's backstory, which I really appreciated. And it's very evident just how close you guys are. And of course,
Yeah.
this being a relationship show, you guys were perfect casting. So they
Thank
knocked it
you.
out of the park there. So starting with this leg in Dubai, you left the pit start at 4:19, which was like fourth from the previous leg.
Mhm.
Man.
Everyone's flying to Dubai on the same flight, but before you
Yeah.
even leave the airport, Jonathan and Anna are talking with Jack and Carson about the U-turn vote. You both also voted for Jonathan and Anna, so were the two of you able to kind of smooth things over with them as well?
For this question, if we rewind, before the U-turn vote, Jonathan and Anna, they approached us about because it started, with the driver's seat. They gave us 25 pounds.
Yeah.
I genuinely told them that I expected anybody on that race other than Erica and Melinda and possibly Scott and Lori to give us 25 pounds.
Yeah.
I
Right.
expected that. I wasn't angry. We hadn't had a conversation. It was not personal. It was business, right? So,
Right.
I think they understood that that's why we voted for them. And it might not even been just wanting to get our lick back. It was also because that was the safest vote on the table, right? I knew how many people were voting for Scott and Lori. Moment at the mat when everybody compared notes and all of that stuff was happening, I wasn't mad at that. You know what I mean? I wanted two front of the pack teams to go against each other. I wanted that chaos in the front of the pack.
100%.
A
Right.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. So that worked out perfectly. Now, fast forward to the moment that you're talking about. Did we mend fences? There was not a problem. It was no air to clear because of how clear I made it before we voted. So when we get to Dubai and we're at the airport, I honestly think that was one of the most beautiful moments of the race. Most of us will tell you that it was down to 8 teams. We got a chance to really bond. So in the desert in Dubai, when everybody else was pretty much going to sleep, we talked for maybe 2 or 3 hours, me and Jonathan. We talked about our
Wow.
families. We both have daughters, and we were like, we want our daughters to know each other and they can be pen pals. And we were just talking about all type of stuff. We have similar situations back home, just a lot of different stuff. And we really bonded. So yes, to answer your question, we did bond with them and we did clear the air.
Amazing. I mean, I always love when it's friendly competition and just game
Yeah,
respects game because at the end of the day, it is a race.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah. It's a
happy
game.
to
Yeah,
hear no bad blood. That's great.
no,
No,
And
not
you
at
kind
all.
of already touched on it, but you got to spend the night at this Bedouin camp and it looked
yeah.
amazing. And these are honestly
Uh-huh.
some of my favorite moments of the Amazing Race
Oh
experience. We had so many
man,
our season that I just never really made the episode. So being able to see all your teams come together and like sleep in the desert, like it was amazing.
eat together.
It was
Yeah,
it was beautiful. Pops, did you get any sleep that night or no?
I got a little sleep, but I was so amazed though, man, just being in a real desert, you
Right.
know. Every time I woke up, it was with a smile. I'm like, I'm in this race. I'm
yeah.
in the amazing race, man. We in the desert right now,
And
you know.
yeah, I woke up at like, so as our cup said, we were leaving at 5:20. I
Yep.
woke up and you got to get mic'd up and all of that first. So I woke up at like 3 maybe in the morning and went out and it was like these heavy logs out there. I was working out. You know what I mean? It was
You're
like, but
crazy.
it was honestly, it was like one of those things like, man, I'm working out in the middle of the desert. It was so quiet and peaceful. And then Mike was walking by and we were talking for a second. He was pointing out all these different constellations in the sky. It was that whole Dubai desert and airport situation was just beautiful, like just all nothing but bonding with the other teams. And
Yeah.
I didn't. I guess I didn't really expect it to make the episode because it wasn't game,
Right.
and
Right,
they
right,
gotta crunch
right.
all of that in there. But it should be talked about because it definitely played a role in forming this family that we got,
Yeah, because when these
So
down moments happen, the race kind of is on pause. So it
yeah,
allows you to really
yeah,
connect and forge these really strong
absolutely.
connections.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
Yeah,
once it's 5:20 in the morning, it's race mode. It's
yeah,
back,
yeah.
Yeah.
back to
It's back
action.
going. It's
Yeah.
back going.
It's on.
And
Yeah.
it's like every time we were out of race mode, it was these beautiful moments. Every time we was in race mode, we just was having the worst luck, man. Like things was just, it's
That
just nothing was going right,
in Dubai, yeah.
Yeah, in Dubai is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops, my biggest nightmare is skydiving and heights. I
Wow.
was afraid of that during my season, but you seemed to be so thrilled and so excited to do this skydiving roadblock. Talk me through it. What did you love about it?
Man, it was something that, of course I've witnessed. Well, I didn't witness, I saw on TV. I'm like, and I always thought, man, I would love to do that. Love to do that. Didn't think I really would, but I actually did. And I
Right.
was just acting it out, man. I was having a ball.
Every time I rip open a roadblock clue, if it looked like it might be skydiving, I just didn't want to skydive, man. Yeah, that's just I understand, James.
I
I
feel
didn't
you.
want to either. Yeah, so but watching him do that, man, was an amazing moment. And it's funny because it was another one of those beautiful moments, and I'm watching him come down. I can enjoy all of that, but as soon as his feet touch the ground, come on, Pops,
Yep.
let's get this clue. We gotta go.
That
Back
was
to the
Because
race.
we were in 7th place out of 8 at that time. He jumped
Right.
7th,
Yeah.
so it's like we didn't get that moment. We would save that for later. We'll talk about
Right,
Superman. He
right.
flew. Good job.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that later, But right now,
Right,
we
right,
can't do
right.
that.
I gotta ask, I mean, Pops, you checked it off your list, you did it, but in the episode you mentioned maybe bungee jumping next. Have you gone bungee jumping yet?
I haven't. I'm waiting to. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to do that, man.
Yeah.
I'm anxious. I'm looking forward to that.
The only reason we haven't done the only reason he haven't done it yet is because we want to save another first for the
Right.
next race.
There you
So-
I
go.
love
There
it.
you
I
go.
love it.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
like the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
After skydiving, you had to do this tea time route info, and it seemed very detail oriented.
Yeah.
And you even hear, I think it was Alyssa or Erica at one point saying all the teams were there together, so it was absolute chaos. Was it as
Yeah.
chaotic as it seemed?
It was super chaotic because it's one of those things you could hear everybody talk, right?
Right.
So everybody's slowly figuring things out. Now, it was these little bitty white flowers that had to be on the cupcakes. It was only like 2 or 3 little bitty white flowers on there. They was about the size of little ladybugs or ants or
Right.
something, right? And so you kept seeing, what you didn't see is you kept seeing teams run over there with that thing, shuffle over there, and come back in there and trying to figure out what it is they're getting wrong.
Yeah.
People kept going in there and coming back. And it was those little white flowers. And as they figured it out, of course, they don't want to say it out loud because
Of
we're all in this
course.
tiny room,
Oh
not
yeah,
too
I
far.
think what I loved about this episode and why the adrenaline was going while watching is how often you all were bunched together because when teams
Man,
are together, it really is anyone's race at that
That's
anybody's
right.
point.
race.
That's
Yeah,
right.
You
it
all
was
were bunched
anybody's.
up at the beach too, and now Jeff, you did the surfing. At this point, Pops, you have done 4 roadblocks. Jeff, I think you had mentioned you'd only done
I
2.
had only done two.
How
Yeah.
were you feeling? How was your confidence level going into the roadblock?
My confidence was good. I didn't have any issues with confidence. I was excited to do it. I can swim. I'm just not, I just don't do it a lot. Like I'm not the
Sure.
guy that's like looking for a place, a big, deep, uh, you know, place of water,
Yeah.
body of
Yep.
water to go swimming in. So when we got to the roadblock, like I said, our strategy going into the race was if it's anything that's strictly physical, it's no puzzles, nothing to remember, none of that type of stuff. Who's gonna have Pops do it so that my roadblock availability can be there when it's time to
Sure.
do a memory challenge? Because that's my stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we get there, but we realize he's at 4 and I'm at 2, and it wasn't us necessarily wanting to or caring if it's balanced. Is that it's a rule, you can only do up to 6.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I could do this, and I get out there and I did do it faster than
Oh
those
yeah.
that showed up with us. So
Yeah.
I didn't have any lack of confidence doing it. The only thing was it was silly for me to wear my shoes out there because it was 10 times harder to swim with shoes on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't slow us down.
No, we actually left before.
We left
Yeah.
before them,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say you left before Nick and
Quite a
Mike.
bit before them.
Yeah, and you got to the metro station, and there seemed to be a little bit of a hesitation of whether you wanted to get on that train or not. So I have to
Yeah,
ask, because it could have gone one or two ways, right? Like, let's say that train wasn't the right train. Would you have
yeah.
preferred to have gotten on the wrong train, or would you prefer to have done the foot race with Nick and Mike?
I would prefer to do a foot race with FloJo or somebody. You know what I mean? Than to get on the wrong train going the wrong direction. So
Yeah.
what I can say about that situation, all year we've been wondering, like, could we have made it on that train? We could not have made it on that train with no, you can't run in that place. So as you watch it, you see we're moving towards the door. We never like stopped and said, hold on, we need to check the train. We're still moving towards the door. We're talking about it, but we're wondering, we're making sure as we're asking somebody as we go. But you got to imagine, I would have had to made it on, then
Yep.
Pops would have had to made it on, and the guy getting that money shot 10 feet
Yes.
away
Right.
would have had
Yes.
to make it
Right.
on. We couldn't have made it on that train regardless. So
Okay.
So
Well,
that did
that's
make
good
us.
to hear. So no regrets.
yeah,
You don't have any regrets.
no
No,
regrets, no regrets.
no.
Now, did I have sleepless nights when I got back? Of course.
Of
But
course.
like I said, talking to him, and he said the same thing all year, like the crew wouldn't have made it. And then watching it back, we could not have made it on that train.
Well, that's good to hear. In some ways, you got a sense of closure by watching it back
Sure,
to now.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
There was
Right.
nothing
Right.
more you really could have done in that.
That's true.
So I ain't gonna say that.
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
that was true.
In that situation with the train, yeah, clarification and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if we had 10 more seconds, then we could have got on the train.
Sure.
Where could those 10 seconds have come from?
Right. We thought about that.
Doing the
yeah.
surfing on the first attempt instead of the second. I know the second attempt was probably as good as it got on that challenge because everybody kept falling, but I'd still, if I could have did it the first attempt, or if we would have figured out the fly was on the cupcake way earlier, we wouldn't be.
Mhm.
So, but remember on the train, that's all that was going through my mind. And I was like, man, this wouldn't even be a question. And Pops was like, man, we can't worry about that right now. You know what I mean? So that's the best part about having your dad with you,
Yep.
because he gets to ground you and tell you like, hey, this is what we focused on right now. That's in the past. Now we just got to beat these boys. And I know you know about Pop's ankle,
Yeah.
so we knew the foot race wasn't going to be, our strong point. We kind of knew what was up after that. We was going to give it our all, but it wasn't happening.
The foot race, I mean, as undesirable as that outcome was, as a viewer, it was a very exciting finish to watch
Yeah.
unfold. It'll be a memorable finish, I feel like,
Yeah.
seasons to come. So you
Yeah.
went out with a bang, that's
Yeah.
for sure. And I will also say that it was very clear at the pit stop, just y'all's positivity and your gratitude toward the overall experience was
Yes.
just very beautiful to see. And
Thank you.
as a
Thank you.
former racer, I appreciate how much you appreciated the experience. Because at the end of the day, it is a once in a lifetime experience. And it may
Absolutely.
not have gone the way you had hoped, but you guys got to do it and you did it. And I just
Yeah.
appreciated how optimistic and positive you both were in that moment.
Thank you, man.
So my
Thank
Thank
last
you.
you.
question to kind of wrap it all up for both of you is what is your biggest takeaway from this experience?
My biggest takeaway from the overall experience is exactly what I went in wanting it to be. So first, we're lumberjacks. We don't look like lumberjacks, right? I know somebody might say we do because of how we're built and everything, but we're my dad 40 years ago jumped off into an industry where nobody that he knew or nobody that really looks like him was doing it. And he was able to build his business and take care of his family. You know, I grew up working for him, but 15 years ago, I started my business. I was going door to door. I was a young guy. I didn't have this beard and everything, but I was still able to convince people that, hey, I can cut that monster tree down and you should hire me to do it. Right. So this is another thing that I feel like we jumped out into something that looks impossible. We jumped out into it. You got a father and son lumberjack from St. Louis, Missouri. And we are from here. We are from St. Louis, Missouri. We've seen it all. You know what I mean? I hope it inspires somebody else with either similar situations or they're so much different too that it's
Right.
nothing like our situation. You know what I mean? To go out and do something impossible too, whether it's you make a video and send it in to apply for a race, or it's another show or a job, or go across the world and get this job to volunteer that everybody thinks you're crazy to go out and do. Just go out, just do it because
Just
it
do
can
it.
definitely work for you. And that's genuinely has always been what we wanted to come out of this.
I
Yeah.
All
love
right.
that.
That's
And what
so
was your
good.
biggest takeaway, Pops?
I think my biggest takeaway was the fact that I thought my son believed in me, and I know he believed in me, and I felt like I really wanted to bring that bag home for him. You know what I mean? I really wanted that to happen for him.
Yeah.
And it'd have been,
Well,
but I guess what you laugh at.
I definitely believe in you, man.
I know you do.
And and like I believe in you to where like after this race, I believe in you 1,000 times more, man. And if I ever did it again, if I went back in time and was about to do it again, it would be me and you. If I ever did it again, it would absolutely be us.
Yeah.
And if anything else, this is who I'm bringing to war with me.
You see, makes me feel so good, man. Just saying that means a lot to me, man.
I mean it though.
Amen to that. Thank you both for your time, and I look forward to our paths crossing sometime in the near future.
Absolutely.
Hopefully in New York. Will and I have plans to be
Absolutely.
there, so we look forward to catching up in person. And it's been a pleasure watching your journey, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you,
Looking
James.
forward to
Thanks,
meeting you,
man.
bro.
Thanks for welcoming us into the
Of
family,
course, yeah.
man.
Welcome to the family.
There you go. There you
And
go.
to correct you, you called yourself a former racer. There's no such thing as a former racer. Once a racer, always a
Always a
racer, man.
racer. I
Yeah.
love that. I love ending
Yeah.
on that note.
Yep. All right. Okay.
Bye,
Thanks a lot,
y'all.
man.
All
You
right.
have a good one.
Okay.
Thanks.